You know, I knew that African Americans like myself, who probably never thought we'd live to see this, would receive great exhilaration from that day. But I have been so struck by white Americans, even those who didn't vote for Barack Obama, probably don't agree with his policies, and probably wouldn't vote for him if he runs for re-election, how they see what a great day this is for America. That's what's moved me.
Thank you, Governor Patterson. Back to you. Brian?
Andrea Mitchell with the governor of New York. And just there is 41, George Herbert Walker Bush, along with the Bush daughters, his wife Barbara Bush. They were visible while Andrea was talking to the governor of New York. Also, we saw Lynn Cheney and Jill Biden as the Cheney family delegation continues to arrive on Capitol Hill. John Kerry walking through the crowd, and here are the First Ladies, present and future.
Brian, there's that wonderful tale that is in Audacity of Hope by Barack Obama when he first met President Bush. You'll remember Bush said, "Come on over here." The president said to him quietly, "I hope you don't mind me giving you a piece of advice." Obama responded, "Not at all, Mr. President. You've got a bright future." And President Bush said to Barack Obama, "Very bright, but I've been in this town a while, and let me tell you, it can be tough. When you get a lot of attention like you've been getting, people start gunning for you." And now they're having another meeting in the White House under much different circumstances.
We'll stay on this doorway as we know what to expect next. Members of the Senate arriving on Capitol Hill. We're waiting for the president and president-elect. Vice President Cheney in a wheelchair today because of a back strain, lifting boxes yesterday, accompanied by Vice President-elect Biden.
Morning, sir. Good morning. Chilly, huh?
No love lost between Joe Biden and Dick Cheney. They've been sparring over Iraq and Afghanistan for some time, and it's become pretty contentious here in the last couple of weeks. During the time of transition, Joe Biden speaking up pretty strongly against the Cheney style and the use of power in the White House. Cheney unrepentant and unapologetic, saying in a series of interviews he's proud of what they did and he would do it the same way again.
There's a lineup now of vehicles under the portico on the north lawn of the White House. This is the designated car for the Vice President and President-elect. All day as we look at these vehicles, note the thickness and weight of those doors. There are points in the vehicles where the armor plating runs from 4 to 5 inches, not unlike that of a battleship. Sealed inside, this car will be driven out, and the next vehicle will be for the current president and president-elect. They're being held just inside the doorway.
And we should note this is a process that we see every 4 years. This is a well-rehearsed ballet of movement of vehicles, of people, just the names change. But they've been rehearsing this, and this town has been crisscrossed by motorcades the last couple of days. I watched last night as Barack Obama's motorcade went past my hotel and went to a dinner, and crowds cheering, and here they come.
With both men sealed inside, now this very important portion of the motorcade will make its way to Capitol Hill. This can be, and has been in the past, an uncomfortable ride, but it's up to the principals, of course, to break the ice and the tension. The New Yorker magazine did a depiction of FDR and Hoover going down to Capitol Hill that was considered so controversial it never ran in the magazine. David Gregory, having been chief White House correspondent for the Bush years, you got a glimpse and have heard reports of the relationship between these two men.
I have, Brian. When the two met, President Obama, President-elect Obama, and people close to him say that the first family couldn't have been any more gracious to them and to their daughters. But in terms of their meeting themselves, President Obama said to President Bush, look, I'm really going to want to call on you and speak to you. And President Bush apparently said, no, you're not. I'm going to get off the stage. And if I can help you, if I agree with you on something, I'll help. But if not, I'm not going to be around. And he said to him, look, you're going to want to rely on your inner sanctum, on your top advisors. Those are the people that you're really going to rely on. Of course, Rahm Emanuel, incoming chief of staff, also told the president-elect, hey, Bill Clinton, the former president, is somebody that you will want to rely on. He will be an ally and an important one. So it'll be very interesting to see how this president forges relationships with his predecessors, Brian.
And Michael Beschloss, our presidential historian and author, is watching all of this along with us. Michael, this brings to mind a lot of similar drives down from the White House to the Hill. This tradition goes back to the days before cars, of course. Well, I sure did think we could talk to Michael Beschloss, who's in an adjacent studio. We'll just watch as the limousine, you see the reviewing stand for later this afternoon just outside the White House.
And Brian, we should note, I mean, the ideological differences between these two men couldn't be any wider, but by many accounts, this transition has been very cooperative, very cordial. President Bush was very quick to speed up the transition process in terms of security clearances, making sure that the president-elect knew the threats in the world and exactly what they were dealing with.
By all accounts, it's been, Lester's right, it's been very smooth. 2 days ago, the Bush White House put out an advisory to staff, no hanky-panky, no funny business. There was that story about the removal of the W computer keys when the Bush folks came in and took over from the Clinton folks. Carr now comes out over the ubiquitous security strips that have been placed in Washington intersections. And this will be the picture we receive on the mile-and-a-half drive down to the Capitol, and later today during the parade from a flatbed truck with cranes and cameras fitted to the rear of it. And now we'll see the crowd writ large as they get the message that this is indeed President and President-elect coming down to Capitol Hill. You'll also note the blue license plates on all of the limousines today bearing the number 1.
They didn't stop and check their security, Brian, like when you and I go in and out.
No, they
of the
gave
White
them a
House.
free pass through the gate there, Tom. I noted that.
No magnetometer.
They didn't ask to see a driver's license or anything. It'll be a good long time before Barack Obama climbs behind the wheel of a car again. One of the strange
A lot of presidents talk about that, and vice presidents as well. They long to drive a car. They can do a little puttering around up at Camp David, but they don't get their hands on the wheel. Adjustment. Of course, President Bush could do that, and Crawford, as he went around with his all-terrain vehicles and other vehicles on the ranch itself. But they have designated drivers.
I remember riding in the motorcade of the first President Bush and being on a very long ride, as turned out, and just being struck on what it must be like to live in a world where there's no such thing as a red light, a traffic delay. It's truly a bubble. And this family, this new first family, has already experienced a little bit of it, but it's about to kick into a gear that they could probably scarcely imagine.
LBJ missed driving so much he used to head out to his Texas ranch and famously take his